She has some Arrested Development.
She's like either like a sorority girl, or I would say even more like a junior in high school cheerleader. It's very much about like, John Jansen gave me his jacket at the football game. John Jansen asked me to go steady. That's her, like.
When she said to Shannon, she's like, did he ever ask you to be his girlfriend again?
Mhm.
And it was like, everybody was like, are we in kindergarten? Like, what the hell? They dated for 4 years. They broke up at the very minimum. He was in a situationship with Shannon Beador. He was still sleeping with her. He was still hanging out with her. He was still profiting off of her fame.
This is like Ross and Rachel on a break.
Yes.
We gonna stir it up and do things our way. So if you wanna move, get out of our way.
Hey.
Happy last Orange County Monday, guys.
What a season.
It's the best season in a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, even Andy was reading reviews about that at the reunion. It really was. What a journey.
Such a journey.
I feel like it started a year ago. I'm like, wow. When they do flashbacks to the early part of the season, I'm like, that seems like a year ago.
I think it's really funny too, because and in a way, I feel like it started a year ago because of Shannon's DUI happening 10 days after the reunion, and this entire season being about her DUI and the fallout from it, and a lot of that stuff, and the fallout from her breakup with John Jansen. And it's very interesting how I think probably 95% of Bravo viewers thought this season was going to go for Shannon, and how it did a complete 180 because of everything. And that's how I go. You can only plan so much reality television.
Yeah.
Like the chemistry of the cast, what is going on in their lives, and what is going on in the pop culture, in society, like, has so much influence. So producers can do a lot, can influence a lot, but can only influence so much.
Yeah.
So, they could not have engineered this.
I think I guess it's a testament to Orange County, or maybe just Shannon being stronger than I thought, because I think any other franchise, she would have gone into this season being burned at the stake. Beverly Hills would have humiliated her. They would have torn her life apart. New York, they would either do that or do what they did for Luann and Sonia and sweep it under the rug. Because Sonia had a DUI too. It was never really discussed much. But basically, this franchise, like, Orange County was so kind to her. I didn't expect it.
Well, nor did you want it either.
Yeah. No, I wasn't hoping they'd be nice to her. I found it frustrating, but it did really well.
I mean, I think what made the difference is, much to any, Shannon hater, Shannon took accountability. That's the thing. She didn't sweep it under the rug either. Like, and so that disarmed a lot of stuff. And so that made it really hard. So when Tamra was coming really hard at her because Shannon admitted things, it was like, yes, I admit it. So then Tamra had nowhere to go. So then Tamra and Heather and Alexis and other people kind of look like bullies. Whereas if Shannon had spent the entire season denying things, or blaming John, or blaming other people, blaming David, blaming, anybody else, but taking responsibility for herself. If she was pulling a Karen Huger, and I love Karen Huger, but Karen Huger will never take responsibility for any of her DUIs. Like, but if she was held to her feet to the fire by a Tamra, like, oh no, like everybody would be like, screw you, Karen.
I wonder if what Tamra thought she was doing, and possibly studied as a strategy, was that season where Bethany was an absolute demon to Luann. Let's say it all, you're a whore and a snake and a drunk. I wonder if she was trying to recreate that moment for herself, because they occupied the same troublemaker spot in the like scary troublemaker spot in their cast. So I wonder if she was conscious, like, because Tamra's very strategic. If she studied up on when she was looking for that say it all moment.
There's quite the possibility. Well, something that that Dahlia and I talked about in the Tamra Judge astrology episodes, which part 1 just came out last week, and guess what? Part 2 is coming out this week, everybody. So, little plug, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you're following us on all of our socials so that you can keep in touch with everything. But that one of the things I talked about is that, yes, she's very calculated about these things, but she also, according to her chart, she is that person who, and we'll talk about it later, she's that person who's like, it's because I care, but she comes off so wrong. However, I also do believe she is incredibly narcissistic. So there's like this balance of like, she thinks that she cares a lot and she thinks that she's doing these right things, but they come from a very selfish place inside of her. So yeah. Jen even calls it out. And I was like, Jen's done with her. So
yeah. But where I guess we should start with where the episode started. Part 3 is, oh my God. And we were just talking about how I came in annoyed with Shannon and rooting against her. And I was so thrilled about the return of Alexis Bellino. And I've said throughout the season, I wish I could coach her because I was just like, oh God, she's doing it terribly. I hated her at this reunion. I couldn't take it anymore.
That's music to my ears, Jordan. Music to my ears.
She talks in circles, and that's all she does is talk in circles. I'm not here to defend. I'm not here to defend John, but you're forcing me to defend John by reciting his script because I need to be his mouthpiece since I'm not here to defend. I mean, it's just,
and it was all we. It was like, it was, and me, and you hurt John and you hurt me and and, but I'm not talking about like, well, I don't know. Like you did this, but I don't know. I'm not in his finances, but we've shown each other's bank accounts, but but I don't know all about this stuff, but I will tell you what I do know, but I actually don't know it. And it was like, what are you talking about? What are you actually saying? You're saying nothing. You're full of word salad. And guess where you learn this? You learn this from because I do believe she's dumb. Like, I'm sorry. She's not a smart person. She's not a smart person.
She's not firing on cylinders. She's a little dimwit.
Yeah. She's kind. She's whatever. She's like anything. Like, I'm not saying she's a bad person. Just because you're not smart doesn't mean you're a bad person. But she's not smart enough to get what's going on.
There's something very dangerous about a very dumb person who thinks they're very smart. She has the confidence. She has the confidence of Bethany Frankel here, but she does not have the brain cells.
Well, I think the danger, though, too, is the fact that, like, she's just willing to believe whatever John Jansen tells her, just like she's willing to believe whatever Jim Bellino told her. Like, she's willing to believe whatever, as you said last week, her identity is wrapped up in all these men. And I mean, it always has. Her identity is not wrapped up in any part of her self-worth at all. So she doesn't really trust herself. She doesn't trust what she knows or what she feels. It's all about what they know and they feel. And so she just recites, like you said, a script and recites what they say. So if they're saying nonsense, she doesn't question the nonsense. She's not smart enough to question their nonsense. And when the truth is put to her face by even Emily, who we have not liked most of this season and we have not liked on most of this reunion, but Emily was the one who was like, I'm not having it with this chick. I'm not having it with her. Like, she's so dumb. Like,
did you catch those like break moments where they kept the cameras rolling? And was it Tamra? Because there was someone sitting next to Emily on the couch is like, I thought you were the one who hung out with her. And she's like, socially, and I regret it. Like, no more.
Tamra was like, well, you brought her on. And she's like, and I regret it.
They actually did the montage of Alexis tied up in her old relationships. They even, Jim Bellino's My King, and then her ex-fiance, and they brought in clips of Kate Chastain on Below Deck.
I miss Kate so much. I'm sure she does not miss being a stew, but I miss her. I miss her confessionals. I miss her quips. Like, she's just so, because, oh my gosh, yes. I mean, oh yeah. But this is exactly like her, well, not exactly like, but it's similar to like how she was acting with her ex-fiance of like, let me throw all my PDA out there just like Kate Chastain said. I'm trying to prove to everybody
Mhm.
how over I am of my ex, or how this is like,
Yeah.
that's what she does with her posts. She's like she has some arrested development. Like
It's like
she's
a
not a
high school.
mature, she's not a 46-year-old woman.
She's like either like a sorority girl, or I would say even more like a junior in high school cheerleader.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
very much about like, John Jansen gave me his jacket at the football game.
Mhm.
John
Mhm.
Jansen, like,
Mhm.
John
'Cause
Jansen asked me to go steady. That's
ex
her, like,
well, yeah, because when she said to Shannon, she's like, "Did he ever ask you to be his girlfriend again?" And it
mhm,
was like, everybody was like, "Are we in kindergarten? Like, what the hell?" They dated for 4 years. They broke
yeah,
up, but they were still stooping. They were still seeing each other. And that is also like one of those manipulative tactics that a lot of, and I'm going to make a gross generalization, but I'm just going to say that a lot of men use as a technicality, because he was like, "I've been single for a year." Well, I guess he was, because he had technically broken up with Shannon, but he
mhm,
was still hanging out with her all the time. He was still in a situationship with Shannon Beador.
mhm,
At the very minimum, he was in a situationship with Shannon Beador. He was still sleeping with her. He was still hanging out with her. He was still profiting off of her fame
yeah.
there all the time, until he started until he started dating you, and then you officially became boyfriend and girlfriend. Get
This
a
is
fucking life here.
this is like Ross and Rachel on a break. I
Yes.
mean, she's following those kinds of she's following those kinds of guidelines. Oh, wait, something I need to point out about this.
Uh-huh.
Andy didn't give me the shout out, but it's okay. We know he's just avoiding it. He's warming up. He's afraid of me. I don't know what it is, but when they were talking about Alexis and John's engagement photo,
Mhm.
I did not catch the lemons in a bowl in the
Yeah.
background
I thought that
because,
was reaching, to be honest with you, a little bit.
but that's because I was too busy fixated on his shoes, which you can go back on Instagram and Twitter or wherever. I was the one who caught that John Jansen was wearing the Ferragamo shoes
Mhm.
Shannon put out there, and I blasted it out. Probably Don Gunvalson, I'm guessing.
Mhm.
And when they called it out, I was like, thanks for the credit, Andy. But yeah, he was. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And I mean, Ferragamo Gate, I was just like, "Oh my gosh." But then it was so funny, because then when they're going into the price and everything like that, I enjoyed, like, anyway, I don't want to talk tit for tat on everything, but Alexis was like, "Well, I bought him $800 shoes, and I'm not getting," and I was like, "You better keep those receipts.
Mhm.
You better keep those receipts, because eventually you're gonna be telling him how much money you spent on him."
Yeah.
I mean, look at
Um,
that. Because look, we got receipts on him hanging out with Shannon Beador,
yeah.
but he's single. Oh my gosh. Come on.
I wonder, so she claimed in, what was it, last week's episode? We haven't heard any updates on the wedding plan. Well, I'm sorry, they just got their $60,000 wire transfer from
Mm,
Shannon. That broke. She posted, I like that strategy. She
mhm.
posted the transfer receipt and said, like, what was it you got? Not you guys. She said, like, she- I forget, and then she tagged them in it.
I have
I'm
to look
like,
at it. I have to look
yeah,
at
she
it.
used like one word. It was very simple. Like, it's
Oh
kind
my
of like
gosh.
for your enjoyment.
Yeah. It
And she
was,
was
it's just enjoy.
enjoy.
Just as
There it
just
was.
as enjoy. And this is customer copy. And it's just like, oh my God, wire transfer service. And John Jansen, settlement in full. There we
Mhm.
go.
And
And
I was gonna say what I think will happen. Okay, now they're not getting a wedding special from Bravo. I don't know in what world, and that's, in their minds, John and Alexis think they are.
Mhm.
if that's 60,000, if they really go forward and produce their own wedding, I bet you they're gonna try to film it themselves, produce it themselves, and market it to, like, it will end up like they're gonna be on, like, WeTV relationship boot camp shows
Oh
within
my
months.
god. Well, because she's a reality television star, Jordan.
Yeah,
She's
a
been on TV for
career,
15 years. Yeah.
a
Yeah.
career,
Oh my
household
god.
name.
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm not gonna lie. I'm so glad that she just tanked the season. I really am. I'm really happy that she did. I'm really happy for my sorority sister Shannon Beador that like she came out ahead and Alexis did bad. And I've said it in the most recent weeks that I wouldn't mind Alexis coming back as a friend of just for the drama, basically. Although I watched Shannon on Nick Vile's podcast
Mhm.
just a little bit ago. Shannon was on there 3 weeks ago. She said flat out that she would not film with Alexis Bellino. Um, and
Mm.
I do believe her on that, and I do believe that Bravo would choose Shannon over Alexis Bellino.
Yeah.
So I doubt that we will see Alexis back. I mean, there are some people like certain bloggers and podcasters have been on, they're like, Alexis Bellino has been fired. And I was like, okay, you need to chill out because those decisions are not made yet. They probably won't be
Yeah.
made until after the holidays, like officially. So this is just a bunch of clickbait. So anybody who's like, oh, she's been fired, like until you actually hear and Alexis makes an announcement that she's been put on pause or that
Mhm.
Andy does that,
Oh,
like, let's just
oops.
wait. But I
Something
don't
they
think.
do, and this is what I would predict if she's
Mhm.
let go, which could happen. Because what Bravo often does is give their one courtesy is to give the fired housewife her ability to speak first and spin it however she wants. She'll
Mhm.
say that John doesn't want to be a part of the toxicity, and we have decided to walk away from the show.
That's exactly what'll happen. That's
And
exactly what will
and
happen.
what Bravo does, they won't comment, they won't refute it, they just let you have your moment. And that's what we're going to hear if it happens.
Mhm. Yeah. Yep. That's exactly. I agree. I agree.
Oh.
And anyway, we're kind of going all over the place, but also there's,
Yeah.
but that's in the spirit of Alexis Bellino because she was
Yeah.
just all over the place.
It was I was getting so I can't imagine being in the room with her. I mean, even women on her side were like, "Shut the fuck up." It was getting to that point, remember that famous with Andy where I think he told, like, Teresa it was like in, New Jersey when he started shouting at the women, just like, "Shut up."
Who was
He
New
was
Jersey?
losing Yeah, he
Mhm.
was losing it with her,
Mhm.
with
Yeah.
Alexis.
Yeah. Because she was like, well, tell her not to talk all over me. And then she would talk. I was just like, oh. And
Yeah.
she was doing that whole um almost like a blitz type of thing, just bombard them with
Mhm.
just talk over them, talk till you can win. And that doesn't that doesn't work on Orange County. Like it
Mhm.
works for certain franchises and it works in certain situations, but it doesn't work on Orange County in all
Yeah.
honesty. Like it doesn't work on Beverly Hills. Does it work on New Jersey? Yes, it works on New Jersey. Does it work on Atlanta? It works on Atlanta. It doesn't work in Orange County.
What now that you mentioned Beverly Hills, what it reminded me of too, because I was with all of them, annoyed to th I was at my limit, just hearing Alexis because you can't understand her because there's nothing to understand, and it's just
Mhm.
nonstop, and then I was thinking about Beverly Hills, where at the end of the couch was that she was beautiful, she talked a lot, made no sense, and Andy knew in the middle of the reunion he'd wish she was gone. It was like Joyce Ray what was her name? Joyce.
Oh,
Joyce Ray's a
yes.
Beverly Hills realtor, I'm sorry, Joyce, you know.
Yes. Yes. I can't remember her last name, but she was on the same season as Carlton. Her
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Carlton
and
were
she was
there.
just at the end of the couch just talking very fast over, and it was like and everyone and Andy said later on he knew in that
Mhm.
moment, he wished he could fire her on the spot, so
Mhm. Where is it? There is something. Well, Even Andy's face at the very beginning, it was at the very end of the last episode and the very beginning of this one, when Alexis was talking about how I've been on TV for 15 years. Andy's face was kind of like, I just, it's almost like, not that it clicked for him, but almost like it was confirmed for him. He was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't think I want you back. I don't think you.
Yeah.
I mean, look, not that anybody is on Housewives for pure reasons or pure intentions. Like, that's absolutely not. But you've got to kind of, having worked in reality television casting, you have to want it for the right reasons. The right reasons, and the feeling, the reasons that the producers want, and that those reasons are that you are going to feel genuine to the audience.
Yeah.
And when you start acting like I've been on television for 15 years, well, that doesn't feel genuine to the audience. Like, that's what also happened to Bethany Frankel. When Bethany Frankel came back, she was too aware. Now, granted, Bethany Frankel is up here and Alexis is down here. So I'm not comparing the two in that sense, but that's very funny because that's a Kelly Benson. But you can't come back and be so aware. Like, at least Tamra's not dumb enough to do that. Like, she's not dumb enough to say that. But Vicky though, she's the only one who can kind of get away with it. But that's why she's now just a friend of.
Right, because she it's a okay. And remember, Alexis is a minor friend of who hasn't been on the show for years, and one of her from her illustrious career was Below Deck, which you pay to go on. It's a discounted rate, but so at least Vicky founded the show and was full time.
Yeah,
Bethany was one of the first Housewives mogul and changed the game. But they still ended up getting let go because it got to the point where they're saying, this is my show. I'm a star. It's my show. Alexis at the far end of the couch is the sloppy seconds other girl with, like, as a friend of, is sitting there telling these people that her career as a television star is, No, not happening. Maybe Vanderpump could pull that off at this point. She's been in so many. Like, she could.
Yeah.
Alexis Bellino, no.
No, absolutely freaking not. Well, and also let's talk about the quiet one in the room. Tamra Judge was so freaking quiet because, as we talked about, this entire season, or at least the entire back half of this season, and the first episodes of the reunion, this was her reunion to not get fired. And she did exactly that. She did exactly what Andy told her to do. And we even saw it in those hot mic behind the scenes moments.
He says, I think this served your purpose, or whatever. He was giving her a pep talk, like, good job. I don't think Andy wants to get rid of her.
No, I don't think so
at all. She's amazing. She's an amazing housewife. If you can harness her, if you can harness her, she's an amazing housewife. And you're right. He gave her that little pep talk where he said, I think you did well. Like, I think this served, like, it's not getting rid of her.
Yeah, he said, because this was after Alexis left. He said, this is where, hold on. I can't even read. I can't read my writing. God damn it. Oh, well, he tells her, he told her that it was serving her well to stay quiet. He's like, do you see how staying quiet allows you to hear what she's saying? And then she was like, and then she's kind of like, yeah, and all this. And then at the very end, when they did the toast, he was like, you did well. Did well. Yeah. So
I wonder this whole reunion, because I'd never seen her. So there was almost a daze. I was like, did she take like a Xanax or an Ativan going in? Because it wasn't just quiet and seething. There was something a little sedated about her. Like, there were times she's just looking around the room, like, as they're screaming. Or when Emily was, like, telling her to apologize and Tamara's not clicking, she's like, oh yeah. apologize to me. Like, she was like a little out of it. But I think that was intentional. Like, maybe she took a Xanax so she wouldn't rip people's faces off. I don't know. Speculation only. I was just like, she was very at peace.
She was. She was very almost like Ramona-esque. What was that, like season 2 or 3 of their reunion? She was like falling asleep.
Yeah. She let everyone else go claws out, because she went claws out all season.
I thought it was going back to Alexis being dumb, that she didn't. It was amazing. I mean, she kept talking over everybody, so it's not like she could really hear, but how she didn't quite seem to understand how, if John had taken the money that Shannon had offered at the beginning and signed a non-disparagement clause agreement, that Shannon would have had to keep her mouth shut too. Like, that didn't seem to really click inside of Alexis's head. And I was like, that's so dumb of you. So you definitely are drinking the Johnny J Kool-Aid, because he's somehow convinced you that him accepting this money and signing a non-disparagement would still allow Shannon to talk poorly about him while they were filming. No, it would have stopped. It would have stopped right then and right there. Production probably would have had to have a talking to of like, you can't include any of these things that like, or whatever, that it would have complicated, some of the editing and stuff like that. But I was really, really surprised that she didn't seem to get that. And she doesn't. I also think, and I could be completely wrong, because I just think she's drank so much of his Kool-Aid that she doesn't realize that, and maybe I'm just giving her too much credit, that John planted the story in People magazine. I think that she's believing him, that like, oh no, they can just find out from the courts and stuff like that, because I think that's what he wants. He likes her dumb. He likes her dumb and believing him, because if she knows too much, she's not as smart as Shannon. She can be as erratic and as emotional as Shannon, but she's not as smart as Shannon. Shannon knows the difference, but Alexis, a dumb person, will just go along, and he can get away with everything with her. So he's found his right person, maybe, because she's just dumb enough.
Would it be that they match each other's freak, or they match each other's, I don't know, with
kink,
idiocy? Yeah. They're like, yeah.
And it just was like, I mean, the way that she's taking the fall for the videos, mentioning the videos and everything, like, I feel like she's taking the fall for him on that, which Shannon was taking the fall for him the previous seasons about like, no, I'm never, like, he's fine, he's a great boyfriend, where all the girls are like, no, he's not a good boyfriend to you. Like, we know this from off camera.
Even Andy was like, it's like, when he asked, like, where is this your idea that she's smearing him coming from? And then he was like, she spent all last season defending him and making excuses for him and protecting him. So this thing about the money is something he created. It's all, I'm not even going to try to waste our time walking through her logic, because there is no logic to walk through.
No.
It just changes in the moment.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, but you hit me first. When did I hit you? That's not the point. Like, it's just whatever it is.
You stood near me. That's the same as hitting me.
Yeah.
I'm not touching you.
I caught something with her where I was starting to think, because of the anger, and when she's going over, you guys were friends with benefits, and did he ask you, and all that stuff. I started thinking, because like, it's something you'd see in a movie, or maybe it happens in real life too. It's almost like she's threatened by Alexis is threatened by Shannon of like an ex-wife who is with the man a lot longer. Even though they're done, it's moved on, she's fixated, obsessed with proving that they're a stronger relationship than he was with Shannon, and trying to prove she's the Mrs. or the girlfriend Jansen. She's the one. And like Shannon's not going out saying I was a better girlfriend or a better relationship, but she's so obsessed with the idea that the public in her illustrious career knows he was with 2 housewives. So she has to prove this is the real deal.
Mhm. I
Because
mean, the
deep
amount
down, she probably knows it's not. So
I mean, the amount of projection that comes from those 2,
Mhm.
meaning JJ and JJ. Like,
That's the word, projection.
it's just they're just projecting everything onto Shannon.
Mhm.
And that's gotta be tough for her. Like, she's getting it from 2 people of, like,
Yeah.
all of this stuff. But I agree with you because I've said it from day one. I don't think that she's really it's hard for her to film with Alexis because of everything, but she's mostly angry about the money. It's like
Yeah.
it's about the money, and also you don't wanna have to be around your ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend. Like, no matter how much you don't want even if you had, I think, a really good breakup, like, it's still awkward and odd, and it would just be
Yeah.
weird. Like, I wouldn't wanna be like, do that right afterwards. It'd be one thing if it's like, "Oh, we've been broken up for 10 years and it was an easy breakup." 10 years, okay, that's fine. There's, like, plenty of time in between,
Mhm.
but literally, like, 3 months? No. Uh-uh.
Yeah. I was just trying to think of if it's ever happened. The only time I could think of, and it was a different situation, they'd moved on, Aviva Drescher and Harry Dubin.
Yeah.
Kinda like that, but Aviva had long moved on. She was
Mhm.
remarried, had new kids. He was messing with these drunk, sloppy it wasn't Lu Lu Sonia and Ramona and Luann weren't screaming at Aviva that, "I mean more to Harry Dubin than
Yeah.
you ever did." It was just like it was an awkward party situation.
Yeah, and Harry wasn't, like, trying to sue Aviva or anybody
Mhm.
else, or Aviva wasn't trying to sue, like, Luann or anything like that,
Yeah,
like, there wasn't anything like that. Yes, like, I
yeah,
would agree. They are both fruit, but they are quite different.
yeah.
One is a papaya and one is an apple. Very different fruit. Very
Yeah.
different fruit. I, uh I also notice that, again, Shannon apologizes on camera to Gina for everything she did to her the year before and the season
Mhm.
before. Like, she apologizes unequivocally because that after Alexis leaves, Andy says to Tamara's like, "I've noticed that you were quiet, but you were also seemed to be giving support to Shannon, like agreeing with Shannon, like not really agreeing with Alexis on a lot of her points." And there was that whole thing of like, well, yeah, like because Alexis was wrong about stuff and Shannon and like this whole thing. And they kind of had it, there wasn't really a mea culpa with Tamra, but they had a moment and Shannon was appreciative of Tamra's support in that moment,
Mhm.
and they hugged it out, and I love that Jen was like, and this is when she tells her that like, "Oh, uh, I'm sorry that I hurt you, but I was hurt too. I was just concerned for you." And I was like, "Yes, Jen knows it. Jen knows it. She's not getting sucked in
Mhm.
again. She's afraid that Shannon will get sucked in again."
Yeah.
But and that was the thing was that you heard sorry, let me get to my point. Yes, Stacy, get to your point. You were hearing Tamra apologize to Shannon with a lot of, but I was hurt, but you did this to me, but I was
Mhm.
concerned. Whereas you heard Shannon apologize to Gina, just, I'm sorry for what I did to you last year.
Mhm.
No, but I was in a bad relationship, but I was drinking too much, but I was concerned, but this, but that, but that. No, just I'm sorry. And I think that again, that is just the big difference between Tamra and Alexis and Shannon and why
Mhm.
Shannon has come out on top this season. She just literally is like taking accountability. We'll see if it
Yeah.
continues. We can only just watch and see, but that's just why even people who don't like her very much have like kind of at least been like, well, this was Shannon's season.
Yeah. And she handled the reunion really well.
Mhm.
Something overall, because I've criticized it throughout the season, and the other housewives called it out, like in London, her history of things get heated, she storms off. She was composed. I liked watching her eye work, her eyes, because her facial expressions. She was
Mhm.
like, oh, or like wide-eyed and jaw drop, but she did not storm off at all.
Mm-mm. No.
Storms did not storm. Beador saw the door and she stayed right there
Mhm.
and didn't
The
lose it.
Yeah, I mean, the only time she was like, "I need to leave," was after Alexis left, and she was like, "Can
Mhm.
we take a break? I need a break," and which I think is completely
Yes.
appropriate and
Yeah.
understandable.
That was just like a quick I would need a cig after that if I were her. But
Yeah.
she wasn't like mid-argument throwing a napkin and like one of those like Ramona did once, and Tamra in I think Thailand, "You'll never see my face again. I'm out of here."
And she ran. That's one of those times you realize how small Tamara was when she was, like, running away in that, like, big hallway, like, across the way, and you're just like, "Oh, she tiny."
I had to freeze I had to freeze the end, which we should talk about too, but
Yeah.
just because 'cause you're mentioning her height. Sorry, my voice is hoarse. I was chain smoking in dive bars in Greenwich Village all week.
Oh, that's
Menthols,
what you were
yeah,
doing because
real
we told
menthols.
everybody you had a family emergency, so
All of the above. What do you think drove me to it?
exactly.
But so they have real menthols there, and so I'm a little but, I sound even more like Luann in her
Mhm.
honor. They sound even I can't yeah. I was doing cabaret and, no, I'm joking. But so, where was I go okay, the height. You were talking about how tiny she is. I freeze
Mhm.
frame, the very end where they hug it out and Andy gives them their great job, great job. Andy's in the center, and I'm like, "Okay, we know Tamara is tiny. I haven't met her. I know she's tiny. You and I have met Shannon. She's not
Mhm.
tall. She's not sad. She's what, average height? We
Yeah, I
saw her
would
in
say
heels.
she's probably like 5'6", I would say, and then
Yeah.
she wears heels, puts her about 5'8", something like
S
that, yeah. She's got
so
great legs.
mhm.
She's like all legs is what Shannon is. So it makes her look taller than she is.
And so those 2 were at his side because, one thing I was like,
Mhm.
"How tall is Andy Cohen?"
Oh, he's short. He's like 5'8".
Yeah. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
because I
He's
was
like
like
uh, yeah.
I always think people in TV are really tall
Mhm.
or really short.
Mhm.
Usually, I think they're much taller than they are, and then when I meet them in person, I was like, "Wait." Okay, I was like, "Tamara's in heels. He's a little taller than her." I was
Yeah.
like, he would be about 5'8" then, because he was about Shannon's height wearing modest heels. I was like, "Oh." I picture everyone like 6 feet in the world when I watch them on screen.
You should look up the pictures of Andy getting his star on the Walk of Fame and him
Mhm.
with John Mayer, because they're besties. And
Oh,
John
yeah.
Mayer is like 6'3" or 6'4", and then Andy is like 5'8", 5'7", and it's just
Oh,
like it's just this huge. They're like hugging at one point, and
yeah.
it's like them by side. I was like,
Mm.
oh my God, that's so. It actually looks like me and a good friend of mine who was just in town, and she's 5'2", maybe. And like there's a picture of us like hugging, and I literally like have my resting my hand and my chin on her head like this because it's
Mhm.
so much. And she was wearing heels, but I was wearing heels too. It was obnoxious, the height
Yeah.
difference.
It's
Yeah.
another part of it is I'm realizing now, his job, the way we see him is always in a chair.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know. That was one moment where I caught him next to these shortish women. I was like, "Well, he's not taller than them."
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
All right.
there
I think we
goes
should
our
talk.
invite to the clubhouse. But
No.
anyways.
Andy, we should always be invited because we love a short king, especially if Nate was here. If Nate was well and could join us, we love a short king. We love. We also love a hippie too. Well, I love a hippie, and he's a big deadhead. So
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Oh.
And- but we should go to the post reunion filming. I mean, they had a lot of post official filmings,
Mhm.
but
They
I don't
had
think anybody knew about this one.
No, yeah, the final scene wasn't it post reunion, they did an emergency cameras up, and it
Mhm.
was that group where whose house was it?
Emily's.
Okay, that's right. That's right, they did. So they had it at Emily's and the women come together. Who was it?
Except for Jen and Katie.
Right, and Alexis, obviously. So it
Yeah.
was Emily, Tamra, Shannon, Heather,
Mhm.
and
Yep. And they let it's to recap what they have told Shannon or what Heather told Shannon right after filming, right after cameras went down 36 hours beforehand, that apparently the night of the finale, Heather and Terry, Tamara and Eddie, and Alexis and John Jansen all went out to dinner. Apparently, it sounds like Emily and Shane were supposed to join them, but because Emily was so drunk, they didn't.
yeah.
And how apparently John, I love how Heather was like, "You were not the main topic of discussion, Shannon." And Gina's like, I highly doubt that." I was like, "Right, Gina? Yes, you are completely
Yeah.
right. You know that she was. These two could not stop talking. You know, Alexis and John could not stop talking about her." But that John admitted that he heard the accident and that he went to go look at it, and his adult daughter stopped him and was like, "No, don't do that. I'll go and check." And then she went around the corner, and then she said she saw Shannon trying to drive off or whatever.
And that must be the video that they threaten her with. "You almost ran my daughter over."
Maybe
Whatever they claim. Who knows?
whatever they claim. And I'm just like, but then of course Heather and Tamara have waited 4 months to tell Shannon this.
They kind of glossed over that, by the way.
Oh, completely. Especially because, hello, how angry was Heather at Gina that Gina didn't tell Heather that Katie had been asking about these paparazzi photos, months before that they were filming. She was
Yeah.
so mad at her for that. She was so mad. How could you keep that information from me? I thought we were friends.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Fuck off.
Yeah,
Fuck off,
they were
both of you. Fuck off.
they both even conveniently mentioned, like, "Well, I forgot about it at the reunion." Ah, the entire missing piece of the plot line of the season. But
Mhm.
I guess the point is, though, this was unique. They gathered the women after the reunion, like one of those emergency sessions to basically, like, hug it out, I guess. It was like a
Well,
peace session.
I mean, I think it was probably because it was going to come out
Mhm.
that conversation happened and that happened. And so maybe Heather and Tamara wanted to get ahead of it because Heather and Tamara have also realized they realized before filming the reunion that they look like pieces of shit this season.
Mhm.
That they jumped on Team Alexis, and that was the wrong team to join. And they are trying to, I think, curry favor with Bravo
Yeah.
fans. They're trying to say, "Oh no, look, we're not as bad." But I think most of us see right through it. We're like, "Wait, no, you're just trying to save your asses and look
Mhm.
good." But you waited 4 months. You didn't even bring it up at the reunion. I think maybe would have even saved them is if they had brought it up at the reunion on stage and been like, "Hey, this happened though. So Alexis, you should shut up because John has been keeping this information, told all of us, and so this is bullshit."
Yeah. I think my thinking is, and I'm thinking Bravo wide, why maybe they filmed this scene and did it too, and they added it on as the final scene, is because with Bravo and all these reboots and what we've seen, New Jersey, so toxic, it's at a standstill. They won't even confirm if it's when, if, who is coming back. OG New York became a toxic standstill. They had to dissolve the show. I think they're trying to prevent that with Orange County. And when you see the reunion, the end where Andy's, they forced that little Tamra Shannon makeup, and now they're showing the women coming together. I think it's to end on a note where all the women can come back. And it won't be one of those reboots, or because Tamara and Shannon are very valuable to the show, and I don't think they
Mhm.
want to choose.
Mhm. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, and I said, like, I don't think that Tamara should get fired because I think that she's valuable. She's
Mhm.
valuable and she brings something. It's not necessarily it's the bitter to go along with the sweet. Like, that's what she does. She brings that, like, bitter, salty stuff that we need to
Yeah.
counteract, like, the sweet stuff there. So, I I kept saying that I want this cast to stay so that they can marinate and everything. Um, I would love for Alexis to come back for that drama, but I wouldn't want her to come back at the expense of losing Shannon. So I'm
Mhm.
willing to eject Alexis for that.
Yeah.
Like,
She's there's the door. No.
yeah.
There's the window, Alexis Bellino. I mean, like, that was another thing I wanted to say. I felt like the purpose of this final scene, this get together, was one, to show that there can be some peace, so it's not a Melissa Gorga, Teresa Giudice situation.
Mhm.
They wanted to thaw some of the ice so the show can flow into the next season. And number two, the way they spoke, Tamara spoke of her friendship with Alexis officially in the past tense. She
Mhm.
said, my friendship with Alexis was not to hurt you, Shannon. And I have
Mhm.
regrets about it and stuff. And I felt like it was Tamara basically saying, I'm willing to throw Alexis away. Like, let's cut her out and like
Mhm.
move forward and get our checks another year.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I believe that, but it's not well, I don't know, did I say this earlier when I was talking about Shannon being on the Vile Files that she said that she is no longer friends with Tamara?
Mm,
She said that flat out. She basically is like, "No, I'm not friends with Tamara." So,
mhm.
Tamara trying to make friends with her on the reunion was good for television and good for keeping the show going because Shannon admitted that she would film with her. She'd be like, "I'll film with her. We can do
Yeah.
that. We can still have that show." But I'm not friends with her because she doesn't trust her or anything. And
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's good because I think there was a little bit of me that was being a little Jen Pedranti when they were all hugging at the end. And I was like, oh my God, please don't get sucked in. Because we've all seen so many people get sucked back in to Tamra Judge, like into
Mhm.
her, evil web. I mean, these poor unfortunate souls, as we've talked about all season.
She didn't like that. When Tamara saw her post about how she's like Ursula stealing other housewives' souls, she saw it and she left a comment.
Mm-hmm. She's like, I'm fine with her getting in our comments,
Yeah.
Engage with us, Tamara. Engage with us, please.
Been waiting for it all my life.
Oh my gosh. But
Yeah.
also, Gina was very right in that she said that John Jansen is what got in between Shannon and Tamara. And she's right. Like
Mhm.
you let this piece of shit loser get in the middle of the two of you. It's like, oh, it's so wrong. It's just so, but you know, Gina's been like a Greek chorus this season, and I really have enjoyed Gina. I'm very happy that she has stayed. I'm happy that she has gotten better styling help, and except for that one outfit, and she knows it. She knows it.
The
So
reunion, not reunion, she makes fun of it now.
yeah,
The
the silver
silver
faux
confession.
denim thing, like yeah, and that whole hair, like no.
I liked her that's a we've been talking about casting and stuff. I went into this season saying like what an easy ride Gina and Emily have had. Like they're really filler housewives. Gina's grown on me.
Mhm.
I like her. I think what this season did right was break Gina and Emily up. Not that they were enemies, but they weren't just what are they called? NPCs? Is that the term? They weren't just like a couple of characters standing off to the side just to
Oh,
do a
yeah.
they were separate people and we
Yeah.
did learn a lot more about them. And they
Mhm.
were able to hold their own.
Mhm. Exactly. I would agree with you on that. They had separate storylines. They weren't just Tweedledee and Tweedledum. It's
Mhm.
like, they didn't come as a package
Mhm.
anymore. They came as separate people.
Yeah.
So that was good for sure. Yeah. While it also wasn't about their friendship breaking up, because sometimes that has happened before where we see a pair a pair of housewives who have been close that haven't been too much at the forefront, but they're always together. All of a sudden, the reason they have any storyline or main storyline is because they're no longer friends anymore.
Mhm.
And so I'm glad that didn't happen with them.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just we saw them individually instead of Tweedledee, and so they
Yeah.
actually in my fantasy league, I think they earned a place back, especially Gina full-time, I would say.
Mhm.
Emily, possible strong friend of still, but I used to think she could get fired. Now I'd say friend of, but I wouldn't object to a
Mhm.
full-time. But
Mhm.
I felt like she was using this reunion to make up for this, but
Yeah.
we'll
I
see.
could have I could have taken Emily not yelling so much because at times she was a little Alexis-ish of just talking over everybody, even
Mhm.
though Emily was making salient points. Like she wasn't speaking gibberish and she knew exactly what she was talking about. There were a couple of times I was just like, actually, Emily, can you stop explaining how Shannon feels or how what Jen did? Can you can stop and let them talk here for a
Mhm.
moment, but
Yeah,
whatever.
that was her, we'll see.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I also love the fact, sorry, just going back to the post filming. Jeff Lewis was right that entire time that John Jansen heard the crash, and therefore I was right this
Mhm.
entire season when I called it early on that I knew that it was Jeff Lewis who said that that John Jansen probably heard this. I was like, that's got to be Jeff Lewis saying that. It's Jeff
Mhm.
Lewis thinking that stuff, and I was like, yes, I'm right. We were
Yeah.
both right about stuff this entire season. We knew it.
So,
That's what happens
maybe
when you're
they
a
should add
housewives
us. Oh,
scholar.
it's
We're
like, maybe they
scholars.
should add us onto the oh, I like that. Yeah, I think they should have us on.
Mhm.
Why not?
I mean, well, you know what? I think Jeff Lewis should have us on. We're both here in LA. I can walk
Yeah,
down
it's
to the
not
Sirius
bad.
XM studios. I'm walking distance. Let's go. Let's go, Jeff. Come on.
Just show up. I'll just show up. He'll
Yeah.
accept us.
I mean, hopefully he can deal with having a Bruin in his whatever.
By the way, I should point out he didn't graduate from there. Does that make him a dropout? We'll bring it up on his show.
Great. You can do that. I will not.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to bring up this episode?
I don't know. I think I mean, we don't have any espresso martinis to toast here, but
God. Oh my
I think we'll
God.
see basically, I think we'll see the whole cast back. I don't know. I would not, maybe not. I don't know about Alexis. That's like the big thing. But I think we all know Shannon, Tamra, all the basics are coming back.
Mhm.
All the key players. I think even Emily will. Not Emily,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, Katie. I think Katie will be back.
Mhm.
He even said, like, how is this for your first reunion? And I know you
Mhm.
can't read in to two, or he said you did like really well for something. This is your first reunion. You can't read into every word he says in front of them because he could
Mhm.
easily. But I felt like his final efforts in that sing to get the hug out of those two was to make this cast able to move forward so we wouldn't have to do what he did in New Jersey. And so he
Mhm.
wants to see them back, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I would say it's like maybe he should start ending these reunions of like Dr. Andrew Cohen is now out of session.
Yeah. Oh, I just thought a fantasy thing, but we'll see if I was like, they should end these with a cigarette too instead of a drink. Now that we have Dorit, that's another show for later this week. Now that's just out in the open. I think they should just be allowed to smoke.
Well, yeah. Like I said, like if it wasn't so noisy on my balcony, I'd be filming these, recording
If
these.
I was a housewife If I was a housewife, those off-camera scenes, they would find me outside my trailer hiding and smoking while the other
Mhm.
women are getting touched up. I'd be like, "Fuck." Yeah.
Yep.
But another story, you know how you could help with
How you can
someone
help us afford cigarettes and then the chemotherapy that we're gonna need to help our lung cancer.
cigarettes in New York, by the way, my beloved menthol's like 18 a pack.
Oh my god.
And I smoked freely because you know how I get to know these people, like housewives and stuff? When I'm drunk, I carry extra cigs and everyone becomes your best friend.
You
"Oh,
do?
I never smoke. Oh, could I
Oh,
have
yeah.
one?" I'm like, "Oh god," I'm like Tamra, I'm Ursula. "Come and
Mhm.
stealing your lungs, you're gonna be mine." But
Mhm.
so the best way to help us in this mission, this sad little mission of ours to glory is rate, review, subscribe, and follow. Of course, social media, we're Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Blue Sky.
Mhm.
We're also on YouTube, in addition to where you get all your podcasts and platforms.
Yep. Yep. We're there. We're there. We're dropping a bunch and we'll be kind of changing up when episodes are dropping because of the Bravo schedule, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess next week we'll see you. Next episode, we'll see you live from inside Dorit Smoke Shop. I don't know who wants to say goodbye.
Well, everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Travel safe. Oh, make sure you tell your family about us.
Yeah.
If you still talk to your family, whichever way it goes.
Yeah. Or escape them with us, as long as you listen to
Yes.
us, as long as
Have
it's
this
all about us.
Yeah, just have a cigarette break with us from your family.
Adios.